Hey everybody, it's your boy Tatharis, still using that as an intro for no reason. We're gonna do something a little different today. Today I have a special guest, the infamous grand. Oh man, I had an intro and I failed it, biffed it, beep. The notorious maestro of music, nerdistry, and gaming and
Well,
stuff,
I don't
Mr.
know if I call
Jaedaen.
myself a maestro, but I appreciate it. I'm a guy that likes to nerdily remix
Yeah.
orchestral remixes of old video game music. I've got a couple of subscribers, but mostly you just do things like this, for the love of doing it. That's what I do anyway.
I know you're doing it for fun, so I'm still going to include a link to your channel. I know you've been busy with work versus fun work lately,
I
but
haven't
it's still
uploaded
there.
in a well over a year, probably close to 2 years now. But I need to get back into that. It's easy to fall out of the habit of that, and then you lose some of the skills. And
Yeah,
I really need to sharpen back up, bone up again.
eh,
So yeah,
but the link to the channel will still be there. I promise you that. So, because
well, I appreciate it.
you're
Yeah,
part of the original trio when we first did this stuff during the COVID lockdowns with our old podcasts. I might
I
link that
remember
channel.
that.
I might link
And
that
then your
channel at some
lovely,
point.
I'm sorry.
No, no. Hey, continue with your thought.
Oh, well, yeah, that's when your lovely wife, decided to stop doing editing, and I understand it's a lot of work, and so I was kind of ashamed to see
Eh,
that go. It was kind of fun to do it,
uh,
but I'm kind of glad you're getting back into this. That's nice. Now you have a new person, Mister Nose, I guess. He's a cool dude. So
yeah.
yeah.
But let's put it this way. It's more of a life happened, so we just, you know, as you said before, right? As long as you keep doing something, it's good, and then you fall off if the training wheels fall off or whatever, you know,
Well,
you
yeah,
get
I
sucked
that,
into
that's
other things.
the way it goes for sure. I mean, yeah, but
Yeah. But I'm
anyway, nice to talk to you again. It's been a little bit actually.
yeah, man. So this is a twofold. And we talked about this offline, right? Like uh one, we were overdue for one of our normal bullshit sessions, which is realistically what we were kind of did more focused when we did the Ramble casts. So this is gonna kind of be like a mini one of those is what I'm hoping. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that as long as I keep with this, which is my intent, maybe we can do these more often. And then, spoilers, I'd love to suck you into some gaming content at some point too. Um, but real life comes first for you, obviously. But like
It's just been busy.
giving us a reason to schedule and stop life from consistently getting in the way of our friendship, you know. I mean,
No, I feel
we
you.
talk
I
back and
feel you.
forth on Discord all the time. It's been a while since we've had a chance to hang out either in person or do a serious thing, and
It's
so
been a while,
yeah,
yeah. So it's nice to chat with you here.
I appreciate it. So that's a good segue since we're lulling from the mutual compliments and whatnot, which are not necessary, but I do truly feel you're like one of my closest friends. I've said that multiple times. I'm saying that here for the record, so it'll be
Sure,
recorded.
likewise, man.
Uh,
Yeah.
I would love for us to actually deep dive a little bit into esoteric ebb. We are well documented that we both loved Disco Elysium. We have that whole ramble cast on it.
It's my favorite game of all time, yes.
And I think we have an agreement of the tagline, which does a little disservice to the game, but I want it to be said with but first before I say the tagline, it is said with love. And that is we both called I think we agreed the tagline was Esoteric Ebb is Timo Disco Elysium combined with D&D.
Yeah, I mean, is a little harsh.
It
It's a little
is, but
better than Timu.
it's
It's like premium Timu.
yeah, yeah.
But still, it's not store brand. Some store brand is better than others, right? I don't
It,
want to get store brand ketchup, but other
well,
things are not so bad. They're just
ag-
cheaper and they're just as good. This isn't as good as Disco Elysium, but
agreed. Well,
it's definitely the best disco like that I've
if
seen.
if we think of disco as, I mean, it was an indie, but it was, I mean, the way that came together, I almost feel like it borders on double A. I mean, not that it has the funding of one of those, but like quality, like everything that was put into it. Now, maybe that's
Pretty
because
polished.
they had 20 years of RPG history that went into like the making of the world, so they
Right.
didn't have to like spend years developing that, or having someone because it was already developed by them right before they did it. But I mean, I put that as like the gold bar of like the top end of indie, regardless of how much it costs to make, the number of people. That's just kind of where I place Disco Elysium in my heart. And people who want to are I mean, indie is a subjective term too, right? It depends on how you define it. Like there's not many true indies by some of the classic words. So let's not go down that rabbit hole. But we
Well,
both
that's a
agree.
whole other
Yeah,
conversation,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
probably
yeah.
an entire podcast
It
if we
is.
wanna get into the
And
semantics of what it means to be indie.
and I don't
Like,
think and honestly, maybe we will talk about that sometime. That would
we
be an
could.
interesting thought experiment that I think you and I would be willing, maybe with a few beers involved, uh, to just bullshit on.
I'm
But
having one right now, yeah.
yeah, let's focus on Esoteric Ebb. So realistically, this was like a really small team. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more than 10 people. I don't have it in front of me. Don't quote me, but it definitely was a small team. And the basic of it without talking spoilers, which we probably will in a minute. Absolutely. Actually, no, I know we will. Uh, it's like one guy is, or one, whoever the narrative director for this, he's like, okay, I'm going to run you through a, a quick one shot campaign. It's just you. It's going to take a few sessions to get through. It's using all of the OGL D&D terms that have not been legally removed from the OGL in a brilliant way. It's using all the
Right.
spells you're supposed to be a cleric, but you don't have to play anything like a cleric, even though you have access to cleric spells. Even if you had like no wisdom, you could still cast spells, which is hilarious. So you have like your core basic class, but it has a similar theme start. It clearly is ripping off or using as an homage, in my opinion, Disco Elysium in many ways. Would you agree with that? Like,
I mean, I would say that's an understatement. I would
yeah,
say that it basically copied everything it possibly could from Disco Elysium. I'm not
and
saying that's a
D&D,
bad thing.
right? And put them together.
D&D, I mean, I would even say it's 90% Disco Elysium, 10% D&D. Like, it is D&D, but, when
But
you play it, it feels more like Disco Elysium than a game of D&D, right?
sure, because I mean, it's not a tradition. It doesn't use the traditional D&D combat system. It's
Right, the
doing
combat
it's narrative combat, right? Like combats are realistically like 3, 4 rounds long, or three of your actions long, roughly, right?
it
Win
is,
or
but
lose.
the thing about that is it's definitely right because in Disco Elysium there was the one combat, but it wasn't even played in a way that felt similar to a combat. In
Yeah.
Esoteric Ebb, there is at least a pretense of sort of feeling more like combat, which was a slight deviation, I
Probably
would
because it
say.
uses an initiative system based off your decks, right?
That's and there are actions that you can take that
Yeah.
do different. I don't know. It felt more like a combat than the tribunal scene in Disco Elysium. I won't go into it more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good game. One thing I really liked about it is it really did love Disco Elysium as much as I do, and it tried to do everything there. There was a lot of things it didn't do as well. I mean, even the writing style tried to ape that. They were trying to do the five you know abilities
Yes. And
and
they all
have them
talk to
talk
you. Yeah.
in a similar way to the skills from esoteric. The problem is, and they were trying to do this like make fun of all sort of ideologies thing that Disco Elysium does. So each of the skills, as they were higher, are really wanting you to do different things, right? If
Yeah.
your wisdom is high, you're like hippie tree lover person. If you're
Yeah.
charismatic, you're a megalomaniacal, asshole.
Intelligence is
Um,
very analytical, right?
very
Like,
analytical, but also I'm better than everyone else,
yeah.
and really I should be the one in charge because I'm so much smarter than everyone else.
Strength is
Um,
like I should rule. Strength is, whoever's strongest is best. Chivalry, the code of honor, all of these things were tied up there. And I think Dex was super greedy, or the one faction, the trade union, whatever, the Free Striders, I think was the name of
yeah,
them.
that's like you're
Yeah,
like a capitalist
yeah,
because it's a clever way to do it because as someone with Dex, you're going to be stealing a lot of shit, so you're
yeah,
obsessed with getting gold, right?
yep.
Which is kind of funny.
So how about we do this? Let's just like to set the scene. let's just talk briefly about the type of character we played. Mine was very simple. I put all my points into majority strength, at a little bit of dex. I ran around and literally I don't think I bought a single item in the game. I stole everything. I was not a free starter in my core. In fact, for a really long time in the beginning of the game, I kept saying you should vote for me as the new leader because I was like, right, might makes right. Like that was kind of what I kept saying. So I had a very good, like, I was prone to two combats. I did not cast spells whenever combat scene. It was all about trying to punch someone or dodge, go first, punch, try to knock him to the ground, whatever types of those abilities or options I had whenever the few combat things went up. And you played something very different than me, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so I played Wiz and Charisma, which I guess didn't really match as well as I thought. The reason I only took Wisdom in the first place, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be an egalitarian hippie cleric. That sounds fun. But then, with my charisma as high, it's like oftentimes it doesn't really sort of match what I was going for because they were saying different things. I
Yeah,
usually have high charisma in very narrative heavy games, right? Thinking
yeah, yeah.
Planescape style, just
So you can talk through things instead of
be-
fighting.
because it's a talking focused game, right? It's a dialogue focused game, so that makes the most sense to me. And oftentimes you don't really know how much balance the writers are going to give to all the different skills, right? And so I figured that those two combinations would probably give me the most. Although I would say that there was more love for the wisdom stat in terms of the writing than the charisma stat, from my own personal preference. I've also read online that Constitution actually is quite a bit like that too, which is weird.
Yeah, I saw some when I was doing things. I was like, I don't care. I'm doing strength and dex. You know me. I play. We. This is long established, right? I love being the noble thief who steal, like especially in like Skyrim or Fallout's. I'll steal everything that's not nailed down, but I'll never ask for a penny as a reward from people. Right. So that's why I was like,
Sure.
yeah, I'm gonna be a fighter. I'm basically making the martial cleric who's all about punching people in the face and has a little bit of a greedy side. So I'll steal stuff. I mean, from our Ramble cast, right? I was the hobo. I had to steal. I took the large, oversized check despite the humiliation in that game just for the extra money. I was constantly looking for any way I could scavenge money. I don't think it was as important to do in this game, but it was really funny where I consistently stole every single item that was a quest reward. And then some people would acknowledge, they're like, well, I was going to give you this thing, but you already have it. Or they'll be like, huh, it's missing. So the fact that they acknowledged the fact that I kept stealing all the quest rewards was kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah.
I just meant I got them earlier. And I mean, it gave me more options to tweak out my stats realistically. That's all it did. It wasn't like it was not essential. If I was to play this a game again for fun, maybe I'd suck it up. I mean, like I never spent any money. I kept getting it. Uh, I did try negotiating for some rewards with the free striders, which gave me a crazy amount of money that I never used, right? And did I need all those items that I took? No, but it was kind of nice to have them.
That's pretty cool. I bought some stuff, I think, from the trader in the middle of the square, but
Yeah.
mostly none of that stuff was that important. Honestly, like, the writing was pretty good. It was an entertaining game. I liked the art style. But by the end of the game, I just wanted to finish it up. I wasn't really interested in doing every single side quest. Like, it was good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't great. I don't really intend on ever playing it again. It's not one of those games where I have the need to play it again. I think I played through Disco Elysium 2 or 3 times, which is very rare, especially for a game that doesn't have that much core change in terms of how the actual story is going to go, regardless of the type of character that you play. Right?
No, that's fair. I didn't really mess. Let me think about this. I don't think I have much plan to ever go back either, to be fair. Um, I mean, it was fun. It was good. Intellectually, there could be some interesting stuff there, but I don't have a plan necessarily to do that. So I guess I'll agree with that point. Like I once was great. I experienced, and this discussion will be more interesting to me, and maybe it may reveal why I feel more positive of the ending than you. Although I will say, I also did not finish all the side quests. Like I know there was some quest, which in my heart of hearts, I'm sad I didn't find on the first day, which was all about like you could. I know when you talk to the goblin, he mentions that he does a side gig delivering milk and he makes money that way. And I'm like, oh, that's a quest I want. I need to get that money. I never found it. And I think I know who the person is. but I think you have to go in like the wee hours of the morning to talk to him because he's always sleeping during the day.
I
So
found that
I
one,
never
but
talk to that
eventually,
character.
right. I found that one, but my character came to the conclusion, oh, this is just a scam, actually, because you talk to him and it's like an MLM thing. He wants you to buy a bunch of milk, and then sell it for massively inflated prices. And he tries to sell it to you for a high amount. I'm like, screw this. This is a scam. So that ended the entire quest. I'm sure
Gotcha.
if I actually would have picked it, there would have been a hilarious way to lose money and then probably try to get it back or something. But
Yeah.
I was pretty done. That was kind of near the end of the game anyway, so I was kind of ready to
Yeah,
to
once I
be
got
done
to
with it.
day 4, I did do some side questing or turn in some side quests that I had effectively completed, but I wasn't focusing on. But I was banging my head against my drum or my head against the wall of it seems to indicate I need to do this thing all the way underneath the city to activate the final portion of the game, the point of no return. And that's not what you're supposed to do. It's actually in the town center is where you activate the thing that lets you get into that final action. And I mean, I know you understand what I mean, and we'll be more clear here in a minute. I'm just still being vague while we like go up to that type of spoiler, right? Because I think that's a good talking point, is talking about our experience about the end of the game. What I wanted to get to before that, however, was just to show how different our characters were. What did you do about the arcane lock on the tea shop to get in there? Like, how did you handle that whole issue of like, did you agree with the Baron and go along and take the oath? Did you find another way to get around it?
I took the oath, but I subtly changed a single word to make me not bound to him, but to some greater ideal. Um,
Okay, that's cool.
I think that was a high whiz check thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so that's how I got in there. I imagine you just smashed the lock open, right?
So my stance in the entire game was I refuse to sign a single blood oath. I will not give you a binding oath to anyone. There's a couple different options where you can do that as an option. So you were wise and charismatic enough to manipulate things. I told him pound sand, so he wouldn't help me at all. So I just stopped looking at I didn't after that conversation, I didn't talk to him again until the end of the game. I did go back to Mac on the planer, and I got her to agree to a date by the end of the game, which was really fun, even though I wasn't the most charismatic. That was a whole fun side trip. But the way I dealt with the arcane locks is exactly what you said. There was at least 2 of them in the game, and I punched them into submission with my raw strength,
Cool.
which of course is not possible in D&D, right? Arcane locks don't work that way. You need to dispel magic. Dispel magic is your answer. If you don't have dispel magic, you're not getting through an arcane lock outside of maybe arcane tricksters. I don't know. Let's not get too far down the D&D specifics, but you know what I mean, right? Like
Well,
maybe there's a magical rogue type thing that might have a special ability that lets them mess with magic. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm not the expert at D&D 5th edition. I know Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate teaches me, and Baldur's Gate
well,
is not
it's
true to the entire source material either. It does its own things, probably for the better.
right. The thing is that DMs have a lot of leeway, right?
Yeah.
So it's I just see it as a cool, flexible DM, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what they were going for, I think.
What was your sidekick's name? Do you remember?
I don't really remember.
The Kim replacement, the Goblin. Okay, well, we both know who I'm talking about. That was one of the
Hmm.
first times in the game where he really started to like evaluate me. Like in Disco Elysium, we talked about this before in that podcast Ramblecast. I uh I made a character who was like Sherlock Holmes but completely burnt out. That's why he went on the bender. And my whole thing was I disassociated from my previous experience. I never did drugs or anything post waking up. I refused to accept that the person I was before the bender was me. And the way I earned Kim's respect is when we finally got to investigating the crime scene, I looked over and I literally knew everything. And I just pointed out everything. I knew exactly what happened, even though we're like 3 days late. It's completely tampered by that jackass kid and everything else, right? But I
Hmm.
still knew exactly what happened. He's like, "Holy shit, this guy's a genius!" And like, then he looks at like my pocketbook, which notes like how many cases I completed. It's like, holy crap, this dude was like one of the best like a Sherlock Holmes character, right? In this one, I'm not that. But I when I went up to that lock and I just went Falcon Punch and just blasted the door apart, the sidekick just looked at me like, did he disable an arcane lock with his own with his bare hand? Holy shit! That marked the change in my character from this dumbass into like, no, he actually has some skills. I don't know what these skills are because he's still crazy. He keeps talking about being the next like mage lord of the city. He keeps calling himself the cleric. He's really weird. But maybe he actually was the right person for this after all. And then earning his trust by the end of the game and having that bond was really heartwarming to me. But there might be a couple
Yeah, it
things
was
that went into
another
that.
discount Kim. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
far less interesting of a character, but okay, I guess.
There was one.
Um,
Okay, so there's a bunch of places where you can get insight into a lot of things where they do some good work. I agree with you. The writing on general is not as good as Disco Elysium, but there are
it,
moments.
it was pretty good. I mean, it was better than most writing in
Yeah,
most games, although that's a low
agreed.
bar. Most games have shitty writing,
Well, I
honestly.
mean, they're writing for. I mean, they're doing what I do when I write PowerPoint slides for executives. It's written at a fifth grade level, reading level, and unfortunately, fifth graders are at fifth grade. That's a sliding bar based on the current education system. Different topic. We're not going down that road, but you know what I mean, right? Like,
Hmm.
there's usually a low bar so people can get into it. I like that they do try to talk, and you do get those arguments where they're fighting for free striders and then not, and you get these intellectual things about what's right. Like they did a decent job with it. Is it as good as Disco? No, but I thought they did a good job in moments. And then other parts are just silly and fun, and then you can Kalima a door, so that's hilarious, right? Like that was kind of funny. So okay,
Yeah.
we don't have to ramble on and on about this. That was a good setup though. I'm really interested. You gave me a piece that's interesting. Um, another thing like that with the Lich House, which obviously we know spoilers. He was a Lich. Like you knew there was something off. He was obviously a necromancer from the beginning. You knew at least that. And then it gets pretty
Yeah.
obvious that like I mean, my dumbass, of course, my character took forever to realize it. And then I kind of pointed out that I had found all his minions. I punched his zombie in the floor. So he asked me to come to a meeting at midnight to have a chat. And of course, when you go there, like he has all his minions assembled and they're ready to kill you. And
Yep.
one of
Same
the
thing for me.
one of the options is do a blood oath. Again, I refuse to do any blood oaths. I was a sneaky shit. I basically said, "Pay me $10 or 10 gold and I'll look the other way," which put us in a contract where he could, if I exposed him, he could accuse me of taking a bribe, even though it was a meaningless bribe, right? It's 10 gold. But we both had leverage on each other technically. And he was like, okay, that's fair. You're not actually going after me. You've put yourself in a compromised position for nothing, literally to show that you don't need to kill me. And I was like, that's kind of cool. I mean, is it the most brilliant thing ever? No, but I liked that I was able to hop into that with my mostly dumbass character by the end.
I did the exact same thing.
Cool.
So yeah.
That's it seems like it was more of an action up your on. But to be fair, by the end of the game, I mean, you can move around with all those items. You can up whatever stats you want. Like if I wanted to, I could have pushed my strength to something like 26 easily, maybe more. By the end of the day,
Diminishing
yeah,
returns at a certain point. Yeah.
right. At the end of the game, I was kind of moving points into wisdom and charisma. Like you better believe, when I was getting ready to mac on that celestial, I tried to put as much charisma on my character as possible. I wanted
Yeah,
that
I think
date,
I
damn
did
it.
that too. It sounds like we had very similar experiences despite the different focus on our characters,
Yeah,
honestly. So I'm guessing there's not a lot of variability there.
I think there, I think there is. I think there's usually like 2, 3 ways you can approach each thing. It's just that by the end of the game, unless you do something incredibly stupid, you should be able to move your points around where you have a reasonable chance at things, and then with a few rerolls, you should be able to succeed at whatever you want to. So by the end of the game, you probably can explore multiple different options. You probably could do it all in one character if you made saves in the right place. But to be fair, the way I set up my stats, I had no stat less than a 10. And then I basically, from there, I used backgrounds. I was a troll slayer, which gave me a bunch of strength. Then I had points into strength and dex. So I was positive on both of those and then neutral at every other stat. So that made it very easy later on once I got the more power, once I got the right feat, took the right feats to enhance the positive bonuses of items, right? And I had the really good items that would give you a bump in a stat. I could easily plug and play to make any stat pretty reasonable, even if it was only still a 10. That makes sense? You might
Mhm.
have been, I don't know if you did exactly the same thing, but I definitely gamed this system. I'm like, no, no, stats are important. That's what drives everything. I'm gonna make sure I have the best chance. I just have to plug and play before I do an interaction for what I need.
I mean, it's just like Disco Elysium
Yeah,
in regards to that, right? I
yeah,
mean, basically everything is exactly like Disco Elysium,
yeah,
except not as good. Which,
yeah.
but better than other Disco Lights because
But if we,
it was such a popular game. You have a lot of people trying to do that now, and
yeah.
that was the only one that I really enjoyed. I played that other game that you told me about, and I just could not get into the writing. I didn't love the writing, so.
Oh, Sovereign Syndicate. Yeah, I'm not saying
Mhm.
it's as good, but I bought them both in a bundle, and then you saw it on a Steam sale for like $8. I'm like, for eight
It was
bucks,
like
it's
eight
fine.
bucks.
You didn't lose anything if it didn't pull you. It's fine. I did go through it,
It's
and
$8. So.
spoilers for Sovereign Syndicate, which doesn't tell you anything about the game because we're not going to talk about it any further. But the whole thing is a prequel. Those characters are part of the Sovereign Syndicate by the end of the game. It's literally like a prologue.
Huh.
So if that company made enough money off that game to do something else, and they decide to do something else with that universe, I imagine that's the basis for whatever the next thing which they do that's bigger and whatever. I can understand you not getting into it. I didn't say it was the best. What did I say? I was like, well, if it's getting to $20, then it isn't worth it. I know I didn't spend that much because I got it in a bundle, right? And then it was like, oh, it's on sale for $8. Yeah, that's how can you go wrong for a 20-hour game, even if it doesn't grab you? You're gonna have to be hard pressed to feel ripped off when you only spend $8, right?
I mean, you can't win them all. I mean,
Esoteric Ebb was way better
I
by every means,
usually,
but
I usually love those types of games, but
that's fine.
in that particular case, I did not love the writing. I thought that it was, I don't know, it was punching above its weight, let's say.
I
It was
think
trying
it
to be more ambitious than it had the quality to be. But
agreed. I also don't like the fact that you had to play chapters the way you did, where it's like you were literally alternating between them. That's a criticism. I don't think that was a strength of that game. I think it was a weakness. I would have rather you just do each story. It was 3 different story campaigns, and you do them for
yeah,
each, and
I agree.
it gets to the ending where they actually converge in the same location. So you're seeing how they all get there, and then you do like 30 minutes or an hour of an epilogue where it shows, and then they become, by the end they become part of the Sovereign Syndicate, which doesn't matter to you. But I'm just saying, like, I think I do agree. I think that would have been a better presentation style, but small indie company. Game on sale for $8. It's probably 12, 15 normally. Like, I mean, it's for that. I'm sad it didn't hook you enough to really go through the entire 20 hours, but I'm not I'm not mad. Like, I understand.
I mean, I think the
There
problem with writing in games in general is everybody thinks they're a writer. Everybody thinks they can write well.
and very
And
few people are not.
very few people
or
are
are,
good
are yeah.
writers. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
if you've written a bunch of stuff and refined your craft, or you just constantly writing, if you've been writing since you were a teenager nonstop all the time, then you're probably not half bad. Probably it's practice makes perfect kind of a thing. But
Yes.
it's like babysitting, right? Everybody can watch a kid and not die. So teachers that work with small kids aren't valued as much because there's not any kind of mystical black magic to it. Like it seems pretty obvious, even though there is a lot of technical, focus,
It's a lot of
higher levels of
attention,
doing that.
right? Like, do you have the capacity to actually pay attention? Do you know the signs of like kids? I mean, go past toddler to young kids, right?
Well,
It's not
and
it's
have a lot of academic knowledge about it, developmental stages, abnormality stuff, all of that stuff
yeah,
is detailed. And my point is, when it comes to writing, everybody thinks that they can do better than they can. But here's the thing: if you want to make a writing-based video game, you probably read a fair amount, right? I mean, I
yeah,
would
sure.
assume that you would.
You would hope
And
so.
so, why don't you then take the bulk of your budget, because what good is a narrative game without the best writing of all time,
Yeah.
and spend that money on hiring a writer that you really think is awesome, like the person that wrote Claire Obscure. They never even played a video game, I don't think, but they were a renowned
They had
writer
not
as
even
far as I
published a
know.
manuscript. They were trying. They were very young and trying. Oh, or their SoundCloud guy, right? Who did their music, which is amazing, right? But they found him off of SoundCloud. Like
Oh,
he
sure.
like that's a different.
And
We could talk
the
about
talent scouts,
Claire Obscure from a few different things. Honestly, when you finish actually playing it, or as much
I
as you're gonna
haven't
play it,
actually started it yet, but I
I
did buy
understand.
it when it was on sale. I
When you
really
do,
don't love the presentation of it. Like, I really don't love the vibe of it. And so I'm gonna have to fight through the very beginning to get that.
you are likely going to bounce off the game just because of the mechanics. I'm going to be honest with you. And if when you do, then we can
Maybe so.
once you take give it an honest attempt, give it a couple hours, and if you feel like you're going to tap out, then we can have a discussion. I can fill you in on the game so you don't like in case they do another one because I think there's a lot of things they need to work on for another one. I don't think it's a perfect game. It is my game of the year for last year, but because the competition, I can't think of something else that would take
It's
it
definitely not. It's got to be
for
Wander
me.
Stop for me.
Well,
And I
I
only played that like a couple of weeks ago, but Wander Stop was an incredibly good game. Very good writing, very moving,
that
very relatable to sort of where I'm at
fair,
mentally right now.
fair.
And so that was
Well,
incredible. It
I
was
think
emotionally resonant, which is
narrative
hard to find.
games, above all, I think resonate with you with the most. Like,
Of
honestly, the
course,
less
yeah,
chunkiness of mechanics are in the game, I think
I agree.
like, honestly, I think I don't think you're gonna process it this way. I'll see how you react to this statement, but I do feel on some level, your ideal video game is a visual novel.
I
Even though
mean,
that
I like it when it's actually more to it. Like, Wander Stop, there is more to it than just visual novel.
you
There
know
are
what I
game
mean,
elements that
though.
I enjoy.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but, like, if you ever play Utawamuro, I don't think you're gonna care about the harem anime aspect. That won't turn you off. You'll be like, "Whatever, this isn't my ideal not or story design."
I don't know that I've ever played a harem anime game.
I mean, it just happens. Well, you've seen anime. You're like me, right? Like, you know what
Sure,
a
sure.
harem anime is.
Of
Literally,
course I
that's the
do.
core story. I wish there was a little less of that in the game. It is what it is. That's the main story. But the background of the world and some of the other stuff they do through those 3 games, I didn't play the first one. I played the second and third, and I realized, oopsie. And then on retrospect, I'm like, okay, I only missed a smidge of setup from not playing the first one. Whatever, it's fine. I'll deal with it. It is what it is. I ruined part of the experience, but I enjoyed it. But it's completely a visual novel that has Final Fantasy Tactics where like you can each of the characters like there's some small areas where you can do some Final Fantasy Tactics like stuff. Not that they change classes per se, but you know the design of
Sure.
Final Fantasy Tactics. It's enough to give you an idea of what the gameplay. But that's like 1% of the game. 99% of it is just visual novel scenes that flow into each other, right? Leading towards
Sure.
the direction of the story. I'm just saying, like, I think you would potentially enjoy that as long as the harem anime didn't go too much over the top for you. Like, if that didn't go, okay, I can't stand this part of it. If you could just
I
get
mean,
past
I'm
that and watch the story that's unfolding in the background, I think you'd enjoy it. But
I
that,
never really got horny games in general. Like, if I'm gonna jerk off, I'm just gonna jerk off to regular porn. You know what I mean? So that's what I
that's
found
and that
strange
to
about
be
those kind
clear,
of games.
that's not even part of the conversation for this for me. Like I said, it's like they have an interesting concept for a world, and then of course every woman in the world that's even related to the story, they're all like hitting on the main character. Okay, I just ignore it. Like I just zone it out. But it is an aspect of the game, and if you can't get past that, you can't get past it. Some people will love that, and I'm sure there are some people whacking into it. That's not me.
I mean, more power to you if that's how you want to
Yeah,
enjoy it, but it's just not my thing.
yeah.
Here's the thing, though: as long as the writing is good, I will probably like the game. But you're right.
It,
If it was a visual
music and
novel,
Music and
then
story are the number one and two things to you,
music
right?
is huge for
Yeah,
me. Story, even story less than writing and characters, and even more than that, character focused games that are focusing on some levels of vulnerability in the character
sure.
that's relatable to me in a certain way. But I could say that about, books. I could say that about movies, any sort of art, right? Even
Yeah.
a really amazing painting, right, can make you feel something in an intangible way that you feel like connects. I mean, that's the whole point of art, as I see it. And yes, I prefer my games to be art. Call me a pretentious snob if you want, but that's definitely my my preference. Now, there are some games that are incredibly good that are 100% gameplay, but I got to say, you could make any pure gameplay better with a serviceable plot and story, at any game, in my opinion.
You have
So,
two good segues there. If you will indulge me, I would like to
sure,
close
sure.
off the last little bit, the last thing I wanted to talk about for Esoteric Ebb. And to what your next point is, I want to proselytize Slay the Spire to you as a
Okay, before we
conversation.
do that,
Yeah, yeah.
let's cut and I'm going to get another beer. How about that?
You can do that. I'm going to switch to my I will be right back. And my Steam Deck was delivered. So I'm going to go get that. So we'll both
Oh,
step away for a
cool.
second.
You talk about how you like that too.
All right.
Sure, a lot
All
of
right.
harmonica.
Nice. Okay. So now that
All
we did
right.
our little thing, let's close off Esoteric Ebb. So I made a very controversial statement, and I could be argued against this easily, but I wanted to give you some context about why I said it. Um, my statement was, I think I liked the ending of Esoteric Ebb more than I did Disco Elysium, and there's some asterisks around this too.
Holy hell, that's a conversation.
But
Okay.
there's some asterisks. Part of this is in retrospect, having already played Disco Elysium. I mean, spoilers, 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 spoilers.
Mhm.
Um, the left turn with the cryptids in Disco Elysium comes out of nowhere. And while it's
Oh, I couldn't
interesting,
disagree more.
I mean,
But okay,
there's the
continue.
one person who talks about them, but what I'm saying is it's not part of the game. It's not something that's built up. There is a person who is talking about cryptids, but it's just a random person talking to you. It's not something where like from what I remember. I don't remember
Far
the
more than that. But please continue. I don't
so
want to
that
interrupt.
so then that just means there's something that I don't remember or I missed in my playthrough where I didn't have it played up in a way. It's some combination of those two. So again, already played, it's back there.
Okay.
Esoteric Ebb hit
Yeah.
me in the feels. This is what got me. So I don't
Ah.
know how you handled the confrontation with the paladin, who, by the way, I called the minute he was missing. I'm like, I bet he's one of the bad guys. And then there's all these little things that like keep throwing you. And then you get the one question was like, who do you think is behind all this? I'm like, I literally said it was him. Because I had decided that like, after like 2 hours of playing the game, I'm like, that dude, he's the problem. I know he is. My gut feeling is he's the problem. So that wasn't like a spoiler. But when you confront him, I presume there's supposed to be some type of confrontation that happens there where you
Uh-huh.
barely hold on, and then your sidekick shows up, and then a little while later, the angel shows up, and with the power of friendship, you defeat him. None of that shit happened for me. I don't know what happens in a normal. I remember I played a high strength character, and in this moment, I basically mansplained him to death. I basically talked about his oaths, him falling from grace, his perception being wrong. Like I just read him this riot act that was all based on strength. Maybe you could do something similar to him with charisma. I don't know. But literally it was all about I used his own ideals and the ones that my character clearly is, you know, emulating, right? Because I was a high strength character. I used that to basically talk him into this mission where he ended up killing himself. But along the way of all these discussions, that discussion when he dies and then everyone shows up and I've already got him defeated and they're like, what the hell? And then the game doesn't account for my play style, like that I killed
Uh-huh.
him. There's a few different scripts where like it's like clear. That's what I'm saying. I assume there's supposed to be a massive quote unquote combat there based on some of the scripting. Like they forgot to add a change of line, or they didn't call a line they were supposed to, right? For the fact that like I'd already defeated them. What are you talking about combat? You guys did your own thing in the other world. I talked him to death. Me, the strength dude. And then I have these really heartwarming scenes where like you get some more visibility on this perspective of your creator. Your sidekick gets to go, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why'd you exterminate my people? The angel gets to go like beg the father figure almost. I mean, not that that was their really, but you know what I mean? Like they're weird. The faith that she had in their creator, she gets to ask her questions. And it was just this crystallizing moment where all the dumbassery I had done before that, like my character had figured himself out. And with the context of some of the things you can learn about your character as well, like who his mother is and
Mhm.
her whole thing, and the reasons your character is the way you are because of your latent genius effectively in a certain way, and the ostracization you've had from everyone between, basically the son of some politico, natural kung fu genius. Everyone's trying to use your abilities in your mother's position against you. You while you don't have the bender beginning, someone tries to kill you. But like it makes sense why the character's there. And there was just some of those conversations when you through this, it got a tear in my eye. I can't remember exactly where because
That's good.
it's been a while since I played it. But while I was like, holy shit, those cryptids, and again, you can school me on like the buildup of that, right? Like, because my perception or memory is missing, and or I didn't put two and two together because I didn't think about it, whatever it was. The buildup and put together that build up to this because of the way I chose to play and that like those final scenes, it just got me. And that's what I'm saying. Like somewhere in my heart, that part just gelled and just resonated more than the ending of Disco Elysium. I still think Disco Elysium is the better game. I'm just saying, for me personally,
Very interesting.
the end of this resonated with me for a couple different reasons, and none of those are the quality of the writing in toto. It was my
Well,
experiences along the way, if that makes sense, and how it culminated in all of those. It just hit right, is all I can say, right?
can you elaborate as to why you think it resonated with you specifically as something that you're I don't know if you wanna get yeah, I don't know if you want this to be therapy hour or not,
No, no,
but is there
your
something
question's fair.
yeah,
I think it was the themes that it isn't necessarily it's not like it was like, "That's me." It wasn't that type of thing. It was just something about the character's trauma and, like, uncovering, like, what made this dumbass who is so dissociative resonated better, even though I have, like I went into that beginning of, like, how I played my character for Disco Elysium. Again, go back to the podcast, I referenced it a little bit in this one, like, I love that playthrough and how I played it. I love the different ways you can play characters in that game. I'm not taking anything away. Again, I say that game is better, right? Play that first, then play this, so you're not disappointed with or, whatever, right? Like I don't know. I'm not your dad. Do you. But it was just something about how all that came together. That emotional stuff just came together better for me here. And if we
so
had had this
it's hard to
conversation,
explain is what you're
yeah,
saying.
like if we had done this like a day or two after, like when I had made that original statement, which I remember and I'm going to stand by it. Like I know it's going to be controversial, and if whoever listens to this eventually will go like, "You're dumb." I'm like, dude, I'm talking personal opinion. I just really liked the ending of this game.
That's
I
good.
think it's
I
a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10. I make Disco Elysium's a 10 out of 10. Dude, there are 4 out of 10 games that I love. And there will be some aspect of them that I'll say, this is the one thing it did right. You know what I
that's
mean? Like it's
an
one of those
interesting
things that,
scale.
well, no, but we've talked about this before, right? Like I am an eternal critic. Took that film class, it changed how I see things. I rip even my most favorite things in half, right? Like way more than you do. Definitely way more than your average person does. Um, and it's not because I'm a killjoy. It's just I learn well by dissecting the things I enjoy and the things I hate and realizing why. Like nothing's perfect. Disco Elysium has its flaws. Mostly the fallout of the company afterwards. That's a completely separate conversation. uh, but
That is
but
a
you know,
very interesting story all on its
yeah,
own.
yeah, yeah.
But
And I do
yeah,
not have the material in front of me to do like a justice to that type of thing. And it's not important for this thing. But yeah, that's what I'm standing by. It's like, how did you what I'm assuming you had something that was not as or didn't touch you as more. Like, what did you do with that guy? Like, how did it go down?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I convinced him to. Well, I think I had sat down, I understood him, I
Uh-huh.
was empathetic with them, and I think I convinced him to change.
So you
Rather,
played as therapist as opposed to me shouting him down and proving that he was a hypocrite to his morals. You're like,
I think
hold on,
so.
here, have some tea. Let's sit and talk.
Yeah, which is, I guess,
I
how I
like
would
that.
do it in real life.
Sure, 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 sure.
But anyway, I didn't even really remember the end. Like it was so non-resonant with me that I had to like, as we were just talking, look some stuff up, screenshots, and I'm like, oh right, I remember that conversation. Like it really didn't even register at all as being much of anything. Like I was just kind of ready for the game to be over by that point. It's a game that I really enjoyed
Until you
less
didn't.
the more I played it, just because I kind of got, I don't know, kind of done with it. Um,
That's fair.
it is the whole reason why I could go on as to why I love the Disco Elysium ending. Not only is it better, but it's really one of the most beautiful scenes with the cryptid, and especially given the context, and especially given where the character is at, with their own struggle. Because Disco Elysium is really not a game about solving a mystery. It's a game about a man's struggle with his own demons,
Yeah.
which is why that scene is so meaningful. And
I
that's
think
what it's
they're both about that. That's the thing, right? This is the Timo Disco Elysium. It just so happens that this presentation resonated with me more. Now, I'd have to go back and play Disco Elysium again to see like how I feel about the ending, right? To truly give you a serious, besides my initial hot take, to be fair, right?
sure,
It's
sure. I
it's
mean,
all but it's all about vibes. It really is.
well, in certain writing, regardless of how good or bad it is, can resonate with
Yeah.
you different times in your life, different states of mind, different everything, right?
I mean, I think Kim is the superior character between the two. But for whatever reason,
I don't
like
know.
that
Define
journey,
superior, I guess.
I don't know, just he's just a better vibe, I think, than the Goblin yeah, Timu
Oh,
Kim.
then the goblin.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
saying they're the
no.
same character, right? I'm saying Kim was better. I'm gonna flat out say Kim was better. But for
Well, the
some
goblin was
reason,
just kind of flat. I mean, it was an
he
okay
was
character, I guess.
90% of the time. But especially with that scene where he's going, "What the fuck, man?" to the dude who basically genocide on his something about that whole
Yeah,
scene,
fair
his
enough.
and then after you get out of there and the three of you come out of hell and you're like, "Dude, we just went through some serious shit." And regardless of how weird the main character was, like the fact that these three have absolutely bonded and then getting those closing scenes and getting to talk with him, like just something about all that package just did it for me a little better than my remembrance of Disco Elysium, which
Fair
is like I haven't played for 4 years or something, right? Like if
sure.
I played them both back to back, my opinion might be different. My
Sure.
impression of Disco Elysium is exactly what I said. Yes, there was one person talking about cryptids randomly. That was their shtick. To me, that was just one random person in the game, and I don't remember an undercurrent of other cryptid activity or anything. And then I remember when it just pops out, I'm like, okay, then that person wasn't crazy. Cryptids are a thing. Okay. And I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying, like, like when I would talk it from that perspective, it just that part didn't resonate from me. But everything else you just said about Disco Elysium, I would argue the Timo Disco Elysium did too. And for
Yeah, it
whatever
was.
reason, could be recency bias or whatever, it could be misremembering because I haven't played it forever. It just right now, based on vibes, I would say I enjoyed the ending of this one, but more. I still think the other one's a better game. That's all I'm
Uh-huh.
saying, right? Like I'm giving the credit to the crown stays on the crown, stays on the king. This is not the
Uh-huh.
king. This is the court page, if anything. But it just, I would say that's the thing that this game did best for me was that ending worked, or that ending piece worked for me. And I was really frustrated. I banged my head against the wall in day 3, day 4, trying to figure out where the fuck I needed to go to that area because everything said, because the angel says, you need, I'm going to meet you downstairs. By the time I had that discussion with the angel, the only reason I went back to talk to the angel is I couldn't figure out what the hell I was supposed to do to interact, to trigger endgame because I'm like, I know it's got to be down here. Then I talk to her. I have some cool scenes with her. And she goes, all right, I'll meet you downstairs and I'll help you out down there. I go, dude, we already took care of the troll. We don't need you. I've done all this. But she
I
talks
remember
about
having that
only meet
issue.
but she
I remember
talks
having
about
that.
only meeting you down there. It
Yeah.
keeps heavily to me. Maybe I missed one line of text somewhere, but everything there implies that the threat is down below, and that's where you need to do things. There was a threat down there. That troll. You can meet the Cthulhuoid monster type thing. Like there's yes, there's things down there, but you don't need her for any of that. And she only shows up there. But if you go to the pillar in the middle of town, there you get the option to do the thing, and as soon as you click on the thing, she shows up. But she
Oh, you had an issue
implies
with that.
but
Interesting.
she
Okay.
implies that you're supposed to do well because I didn't talk to her because she was associated with the Grand Duke dude or whatever the counselor, whatever the hell his name was. And I remember what I said. I
Yeah,
refused
yeah.
to take his blood oath. He said he wasn't going to help me, so I told him, "Fine, fuck off. I'm not dealing with you." And I never talked to him again until you can talk to him in the very end sequence, right? When you've after when the election day is actually happening and you can go talk to everyone last time. That was the next time I talked to him.
Right.
I had explored a little bit of the relationship thing with her in the beginning, but I knew my stats weren't there, so I just was like, "This could be interesting to talk about, but I'm not gonna bother right now because my stats suck. There's no way I could pass any of these tests." So I walked away, and then I just ignored both those characters. But then when I was struggling to figure out, well, what am I supposed to do? Everything in the game keeps telling me, the threat is down below, and that's where I'm supposed to go. I did all that. And then I'm like, I still don't know. Maybe I need her as a party member because I vaguely remembered something or I looked something up, and that pointed me towards, oh, she's supposed to help you. So I go through that stuff. I get the cool implications that she's like, oh, he's not just a dumbass. Maybe there's something to him. I'll help you. Okay, cool. So I trigger that. So then she shows up down below, and then I keep pressing everything on the pillar, and nothing fucking works. Right? I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell's going? So then I'm like, okay. Then I went and turned in a few extra side quests that I was sitting on rewards, but I didn't care. Right? Same thing as you. And I kept banging on my head, and I'm like, well, screw it. Let's go to the center. Let's go up above. Maybe I try. Maybe this will work. And then I did, and it was like, oh wait, there's an option there. Okay, that's it. And then, like I said, then she just randomly shows up. So maybe if I had done stuff in an order that it expected you to do, maybe then it would have triggered a thing where she says, "Okay, and we'll meet back at the center pillar now that we've completed everything down here." Right? Maybe there was something like that. I just
I
didn't
don't
get
think
it.
she said that. I just think that, I mean, I don't really remember, but it was just implied that you had to do it at the pillar, and I was up top, and
So you went
pillar
to
is
the
the
pillar up
pillar.
top, whereas I kept leaning into those things that kept saying, the threats down below. So I kept assuming, well, that means you have to deal with the pillar down
Yeah,
below.
but what you need to do is go inside the pillar into the other weird world or
But
whatever.
you can only do that from up above, which I guess up above is where he went through the pillar. So maybe that's supposed to be the logic. I'm just saying
Yeah, I think that's
that
the
did
logic.
I felt that the game was pushing to me like everything's down below, so it's going to be down there. Whereas no, it was just as simple as, well, no, he went through the pillar up above, so do it there. But again, all the supplemental things of the game kept saying, no, it's down below, and dumbass, no, it wasn't. So whatever.
Interesting.
So I
Yeah,
explored
I
a little bit
don't
more stuff
remember.
than I would have because of that. But we were
Okay.
basically at the same point of our opinion. I was getting close to saying, well, I guess I'm just going to stop playing the game here. And then I would have been sad because my rating would have been completely different because I really enjoyed the end of it. So that's it.
I'm glad you did. I mean, yeah, I mean it was all right, I guess the ending, but yeah, it just didn't really resonate with emotionally. I mean, but Disco Elysium definitely did. Especially the emotional climax was definitely the cryptid thing, and that's because and a lot of that I'm sure has to do with what skills talk to you, right? In Disco
Sure.
Elysium, I think my key skill was Inland Empire.
Oh,
Um,
so maybe you got some more like the world is alive, cryptid hints from that, as opposed to my super analytical,
it, it kept saying throughout the game something beautiful is going to happen.
okay, see, I didn't have anything like that. Mine was very
Yeah,
like hype because again, I was way too high in super. Oh, I don't remember what it's called, but like the thing where you could do all the trigonometry in your head. You were just like super. Again, you were Sherlock, right? I put way too many points into that. Like if I was to play Disco Elysium again, I'd probably go with average stats across the board and just fumble my way through the game and then decide on where I would put some extra points as you quote unquote level up, in the game, but have a chance to do everything but not be great at anything. Because realistically, that game, the better your stat is, the worse it is for you. A balanced character, I think, I'm not saying gets a better story, but has a better chance of experiencing the story, if that makes sense, than a hyper focused one. That's just my
I
kind of
mean,
takeaway from that playthrough. Those extra points, yeah, okay, cool. I solved the mystery like in 2 seconds, but it didn't. I was so shitty at so many other things that it didn't help me.
it's fair. I think one of the screens in Disco Elysium loading screen said, don't be afraid to act weird. You're in a position of
Yeah,
authority. People are going to deal with it.
and I did,
And
right. I basically said Kim kept saying like this is weird. I'm like I'm
yeah,
not that person. Like I did that the entire time, right?
not
Whereas
just that though.
yeah,
The implication to me was not necessarily act weird, but lean into having as out there of a character as possible, and you'll
yeah,
be rewarded. And you
sure.
absolutely are.
I agree. I agree. I think it's eminently replayable. There's a lot of different ways you can do things. For my craziness with just, I'll take any humiliation for 5 more bucks. Yes, please give me the giant check. No, that's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, and then I think you did like all of the hookers and blow that you possibly could in that game. Whereas I refuse to touch any drug whatsoever to my detriment.
Um, yeah, it's better in hardcore mode because you have less money everywhere, and checks are more difficult and everything, and you basically need to do drugs to
I disagree,
win in
but
that
not in
game.
a serious way. I disagree because my loot goblin instincts disagree, not because that probably would make a better experience,
Huh?
but the loot goblin in me, my problem with how I play games, right? My kleptomania problem, like if it's there, I gotta pick it up, aka Skyrim or Fallouts, the Bethesda games, right? Like that part of my brain I can't shut off. It's a problem. I've been
I
told
don't
by people on the internet before, it's like, well, why do you keep doing that? It just ruins your experience. It's like, I can't help it. It's how I'm wired.
I don't
So,
understand what you mean. How is I
well,
guess what are you trying to say? Like
what I'm saying is like in that game, I obsessed about stealing or acquiring as much wealth as possible. Do you really need to? No. But I'm wired that way. So like again, when I play the Skyrims, I play the Fallouts, I have to pick up all the shit. So when I play this game, which is a narrative game first, and you could it help you achieve a certain things? Yes, but it's not needed. I can't unwire my brain from thinking about it. And it's proven because I did the same damn thing in Esoteric Ebb. Do you see what I'm saying? I
mhm.
still have to steal everything. I have to get it. I'm not going to spend money. Dude, there's enough money to buy the things you probably truly need. You're going to get the rest as words. Like, no, I
I
have to
didn't
have it
steal
now.
anything.
I know you
And
didn't.
honest,
I did. I stole literally everything. Everything I possibly could. I stole the sword off the guy's back. I stole the crossbow from the kobold. I stole it all. It's all mine. Not necessary, but it's how I played because it's just part of my loot goblin brain. I can't shut it off.
my point though is in hardcore mode you need to do that even more because it's rough to beat the game. It was still relatively easy, but that's because I was so into it. But
Well, you do it as
that's
a
even
second
easier for that
playthrough,
game.
right? Which will help you a
That
little
was
bit
the
too.
second playthrough, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's probably enough on Esoteric Ebb. So why don't we transition and this doesn't have to be terribly long, and it might be wrap up. I don't know. We'll see how long we go here, but I wanted to proselytize Slay the Spire 2 to you a little bit.
Okay,
I
let's
want
hear
to
it.
give you a fair review. In fact, if you go and look up the game on Steam, I stand by my review there. I don't like the game as a single player game. I actively loathe it as a single player game, but I absolutely love it as a multiplayer game. I think it's amazing. And
Okay.
part of that is probably because the initial experience of the game is super punishing and it's not how I like to play games. When you start out, you have one character. As you beat the game, well, no, sorry, you have to play one run as each character progressively. So you start off with the Ironclad. You complete a run, and when I say complete, I don't mean beat the game. I mean you could play one node and lose. Then you'll unlock the second character, the Silent. Play one game of with the Silent. Again, it could be literally you go to the first stop and get your ass kicked. You'll unlock the next character until you've unlocked them all, and unlocked random, which just chooses one of the characters for you. Um, you start out with a deck that's basically 5 attack cards, 5 defense cards, and a couple of the cards that make the character unique. Like they each have their own kind of a few different ways to play the game, right? And those kind of give you hints at what those are. And I hate those decks. I hate it. It's not fun. A basic attack is a basic attack is a basic attack is a basic defense is a basic defense. It's boring as fuck. Um, but when you beat the final boss with 3 different characters, you unlock custom mode, which lets you use a bunch of modifiers, which include 2 different types of draft and a bunch of other modifiers. Like you can take a thing which I like to do just for fun, flight mode, which means you're not stuck to the standard roguelite path. Like usually like you'll have like 2 or 3 different ways to go, and then once you commit to one of those routes, everything that was on the other path is pointless to you. You can't touch it. With flight, you can literally hop to any of the nodes that are at that level of the progression. So it does make the game way easier because whenever there's a campfire that would let you rest, you're never locked out to it, even if it was on the other branch, right? You can just get there. So there's just a lot of cool stuff. So you can basically you have a lot more tools to dial up and dial down the difficulty at that point. And in my opinion, make way more fun decks. I never would have gotten through beating the game even once, had the patience to learn the characters or anything, if I just had to sit there and beat the game by myself with 3 characters. Those starting
Nice.
decks are absolutely trash. Also,
Okay.
I don't think the game is balanced very well for a non-hardcore player with the basic introduction to the game. But if you play co-op, yes, it amplifies how many hit points the enemies have. And I don't think it amplifies the damage because whenever it's a you play, they play. All 3 of you play at the same time. You can play your cards. You can coordinate with each other, so one person plays their card before you play something. Like there's a card called Vulnerable, which if you affect someone with it, they'll take more damage from attacks. So the person who's playing the debuffs they could tell you, "Hey, hold on, let me play this first." Then everyone goes in the round, and then the enemies will do whatever they're gonna do to all of you. So if it's gonna do 10 damage, you're all taking 10 damage. If you can't soak it, you're gonna take damage. That makes sense? But the
Uh-huh.
co-opness of it, yeah, and there's certain different modifiers they can have. Like one I hate the most is called Artifact. As long as the enemy has stacks of Artifact, they don't take the status effects, which can really fuck certain decks. Like if you're playing a vulnerable build, which is one of the things the Ironclad can do really well, until you rip off all of the artifact debuffs, the thing that maybe all of his deck is counting on can't do anything. But when you play with 2 or 3, or well, you can play up to 4 players, but when you're playing with at least one other person, you kind of can balance each other, right? So, like, even though this combat isn't great for you, as long as you're not trying to draft identical decks, you're doing something slightly different. It might screw you some, but it won't necessarily screw them. Whereas when you're playing a single player, I can't tell you. how many times with the Necrobinder I tried to get a run start. I'm like, okay, this sounds like this might be an interesting thing. But again, I'm using the basic deck, which sucks ass, in my opinion. And I would just get to a combat, and it was just something that would just hard counter me. And I didn't understand the mechanics of the game very well at that point, and it was just antithetical to the game design. Whereas again, if you're playing multiplayer, when the three of us played, yeah, sure, it was difficult in the early days when before we unlocked 3 defeats. It was more challenging. Then we've been playing more relaxed. That's what you see on the streams I've been making and recording for the most part.
Yeah,
Um,
it doesn't sound like my kind of game, I'll be honest
well,
with you, because
you have to be a roguelike. I think it's an amazing multiplayer game. And here's the thing. Zay hates card games in general. She doesn't even necessarily like turn-based stuff in general for the most part. I mean, she's obviously played D&D and other RPGs with us, but I'm just saying like as a video games, she doesn't necessarily play card games. She does like she's had no interest. She's even said, and she's played with us multiple times. She really enjoys Slay the Spire co-op, but she's the same as me for different reasons, right? It's not her genre. She would never touch this. She has zero interest trying to play this by herself. Not for any of the reasons I just listed. She just never would play it, but she would. And just like For the King, which was a multiplayer, right? Like we each control a character or two or whatever, turn-based combat-y thing where you take turns walking around the map and then, you get in fights and you all work. She loved that game. She loved playing that co-op. There's something about co-op that's just better. And I think you would really enjoy playing with us, but you would never enjoy playing on your own, at least not until you unlocked the custom mode. And then once you had the custom mode and through playing with other people who can carry you through the hardest part and you learn the characters, then you might appreciate it, and then you might be willing to try it on your own with modifiers or without. And I'm trying to be as fair as possible. This is my thoughts on the game. I love it. There's technically 4 videos uploaded as we speak. One's still private. I'm editing the 5th. Spoilers, because this is going to come out later. I'm not going to do this until, well, this will probably come out before that one. But our current thing that we did last night that I talked to you about a little bit, it's called Noses Challenge Run, or I think I'm calling it Noses Gauntlet, where our cool nice extra modifiers, which make the game a little bit easier, we've taken them off, and then he forces us to fight 5 elites in a row, which just on the hardest difficulty we've unlocked so far, it's just devastating and nut crunching. This is way more his rage game levels of difficulty versus the casualness of us just raffle stomping through things on a fairly like just on the ascension, which are the difficulty levels of before. So
mm,
we'll see how that finishes. Uh, we only got halfway through that video. We had a pause. We were all brain dead by the end of the night, so I have to record the second piece and then stitch them together and do the editing.
I'm glad you're
But
having fun with that game.
yeah, I think it's an amazing co-op game. I think you could see fun like unlocking those characters, understanding how they work can be really enjoyable. And I
Thing
think that
is,
if you join our lobby, you won't have to necessarily experience the bullshit that we did. You just get to experience the drafting and like, oh, cool, these are the cards I can do. This is fun, as opposed to having the set deck, which works but has a lot of flaws and doesn't. I don't think truly teaches you the character. I mean, it teaches you difficulty, but I don't think it's as fun as drafting your own deck and building your character the way you
uh
want.
yeah. So the thing is, I never really got into Slay the Spire one.
I didn't
I
either,
yeah,
dude.
I played it. I did buy it and I played it. I think it was on sale. But by the time that I played it, it was already so big that it had spawned a bunch of other games that copied a lot of
Uh
what they
huh.
were doing. I think I had played some of the games that had copied a lot of what they were doing that I liked way better, obviously,
Yes.
since it's
Uh
iterating
huh.
on the original. Um, but I don't know. The way that you're talking about it doesn't really sell it to me too much. I'll be honest, but I appreciate the honest
This
review.
is why I told you before, don't buy it. Let's talk about it because I'm gonna be critical, right? Like I don't think it's a good single player game. I think it's garbage. Garbage is probably too hyperbolic. Not fun, not designed for me. Probably designed for those hardcore, streamers that love difficulty above all else. I'm sure they enjoy that mode. I don't. I enjoy having flight so I can pick whichever node I want. I don't have to do that. We can go back to taking that off. I think our last attempt, we'll see how this goes in the Noses Gauntlet challenge. We took off flight, so we're locked into a path. Or maybe we turned it back on after 2 failed attempts. I don't know, whatever. Um, but there's plenty of modifiers to make it even harder and harder and harder on yourself for as much crunching difficulty as you want. I hate the level of difficulty it introduces. I don't think single player is balanced appropriately for teaching someone with that shitty deck they give you with all the characters right out the gate. I don't think it's balanced. If you run across a character with artifact and you're running any of the characters that are even slightly uh needing the statuses to work, you lose. I'm sure there's a way to work around it, and I'm sure if I banged my head against that wall for another 10, 15 hours more on my own, which I was not willing to do, maybe I would have figured it out. But I submit I would have stopped playing the game. I was already had already decided to stop playing that game when Nose convinced Zay to actually pick it up and try playing. Because I mean, it was what, like $20? It's not expensive. He was able to convince her, "Come on, let's try playing it." And we did, and this is before I started streaming, and she was like, "Hey, this isn't too bad. Yeah, I'll play another one." And she did. She played another one. She played another one. And then I started streaming, and she ran a video with me, a test video with me where it was just us 2 talking through like how we're doing things mechanically. She was analyzing, she was interested, she was invested in trying to try something new. Try like, you know what I mean? Like trying different characters, which again, never would have done if she had just picked this up or had it given to her and she just tried playing it single player. Never would have freaking happened. Not a chance. And to your point, I didn't play Slay the Spire 1 either. I probably have like 4 hours on Steam or something at most. I think
Something like that for me.
I played like each character once. I never tried an Ascension level, but that's because I played Across the Obelisk, which was my previously most favorite roguelike card game before this. Um and then I played Monster Train 2. I never played the first one. I really like Monster Train 2. It is a very different style of game.
Never
The
even heard of it.
Monster Train's cool. So what Monster Train does is you've got 3 levels of a demonic train that's invading heaven. So the initial first faction is are demons, rogue demons, something like that. And you draft both characters and you draft cards. And it's always based around a hero. Each faction has 2 heroes. And you choose 2 different factions to mash together to make your deck. And so you place the characters, which cost energy, whatever the energy thingy is, and you play them on different floors of the train, and then each board of your, roguelike progression is another combat with the defensive forces of heaven that are fighting to try to take over. And if they break through to the top of your train, so basically they enter on the bottom floor normally. Some will enter at a different floor, because that's their special ability, but they enter at the bottom floor. They do a round of combat back and forth where you play your cards to do what you can. And when you're out of your turn, okay, enemies attack, your characters attack, they attack, yada yada yada. Then they move to the next floor, and then they move to the next floor. And then not the fourth floor is the heart of your train. When they're up there, they'll attack and they'll keep damaging. And of course, your train core only has so many hit points. So, and then you can keep every turn, every round, you can play cards on whatever floor, right, to influence things, more effects, lots of different stuff. It just, that mechanically is so much more robust than the basic design of Slay the Spire, which is I have my character, I have a hand of cards. I have 3 energy. So by default, I can play 3 cards unless I have a 2 or 3 plus card in my hand or a 0 cost. Obviously, card draw and energy are king in all those games, right? The more you can play on your turn, the better. I just that strategy of how you defend each of the floors, or do you defend a floor of the train? Do you just stack everything on the third floor and let them slowly come up to you and hope you can kill them when they get there? All of that is up to you, right? It's just more versatile is what I'm saying. So I played that and I'm like, then I played Slay the Spire 1 and I'm like, this is boring. Not because it's a bad game, but because things had iterated. Like Monster Train 1 was more boring, would be more boring if I played Monster Train 2 first, right? Because they learned, they've evolved, whatever. So I know it was a long
Okay.
diatribe, but hopefully that makes sense, right? Like we're in the same vote for similar reasons. I played things that were influenced by Slay the Spire. So when I finally
It's the
decided to
same.
play Slay for Spire for $4, I got maybe 4 hours of play out of it. And I'm like, I don't
I
really
got
care.
22 minutes according to my like. I really didn't get into that one at all.
I
Was
might be
not that
wrong. It
interesting.
might only be an hour, to be fair. I don't know.
That's why
I haven't looked.
that's
It was very
why it's
little.
strange to consider buying Slay the Spire 2. And I've everything that I'm reading on Steam saying, "Oh, it's pretty much the same game except for with other people." Like, okay, that's
Okay,
all.
so here's some background. So in between these two things, I don't know how much the original game devs were involved, but there was a Slay the Spire deck building game made that is multiplayer. And in that game, you as people with cards, like you each choose one of the characters that are in the card game. I don't know if they're exactly the same as the ones that were in the game. I don't know if the two new characters that were introduced in 2 are in the board game. I don't know. My buddy RJ talked about it. He's played it. So this is where my knowledge comes from. But that game feels like, yeah, if the game developers were involved, I don't know. But if they had a hand in it, they may have been trialing the multiplayer for the second game. And my perception of it, based on the review I got, again, RJ loves board games. He plays way more than I ever did. And from his review, it sounded like they figured it out. They're like, this is how you make a game like Slay the Spire work with multiplayer. And it's proven. It works fantastic in 2. I still think it's early access. I mean, they're listed as early access. They have some balancing to do. My opinion, like I said, single player absolutely needs a ton of balancing. But the multiplayer is very compelling. I think that's the magic sauce. That's what makes that game do well. But let's take a step back from this, right? We're in a crazy place. Separate topic for another day, but like the indie revolution, right? So many of the best games from last year and this year have been indies. Something for us to talk about maybe another time. But we
Yeah, I mean
literally
that is a
just had
big
the
topic.
best indie roguelite ever made in Eugenics. I have 200 hours in that game. That's a different conversation for a different day. But it was
Yeah, I don't love the
amazing.
theme, honestly. So I've kind of stayed away from it. But people do
Well,
seem to
I'm
like it.
not the biggest fan of watching cats die, so I understand you. But if you know anything, if you've seen even the slightest bit of Binding of the Isaac, this is just that dude's style. This is just
Huh,
what he fucking
sure.
does. And I had to turn my brain off to that shit. I don't like it when my cats die. I also don't like them having Down syndrome and shit. Um, I don't like seeing them exploding in gore. That stuff will trigger me all day long. I was able to turn myself that off in my brain. It is one of the best roguelikes ever made. It was the best roguelike that was ever made. It
I can't.
paid for its 10-year development cycle. It wasn't in development for 10 years, but like he and his buddy started it like 10 years ago and then they got I don't know if they would then went on to they shelved it for a while and worked on Binding of Isaac. I Other people have documented that thing. Go look at them. They'll tell you the full story. But anyway, I do remember from one of the things I consumed, it was like it was 10 years in the making, right? Maybe they only started like seriously 2, 3 years ago when they picked it back up, something along those lines. But again, they made their budget back in 3 hours. It was the most it was the most profitable everything for roguelikes. And then like 2.5 weeks later or whatever it was, it was probably more than that, but you know what I mean? Like only a handful of weeks later, Slay the Spire comes out and goes, hold my beer. And it just blows Mugenics out of the water with its reception. And I was much more lukewarm on it based on my original perceptions. I played it for like 10 hours. I'm like, maybe that's too much. Maybe I played it for like 3 hours, whatever. I was not keen on it. I just wasn't. I put it down. I'm like, I don't like this. This is not fun. And then Nose bullied Zay jokingly into trying it, just trying it. And we all played some multiplayer, and I'm like, holy shit, there's actually a good game here. That's the way I think it should be experienced. Maybe they improve it in the coming weeks, but
I mean,
it's fucking
we
good.
were yeah. I guess Zay is not playing that one. She's hypersensitive to cats dying. I mean, I don't even think she
No,
played Stray, which she would love, because a
no,
cat falls and
she's
gets
not
hurt.
she's not playing $200 of Mugenics. She might give
No.
it a try. She might play a little bit.
Really? I mean, I think the cats dying would be a massive issue for her, right?
It's more cartoony, and it's not. I mean, it's part
I
like
mean, that's makes
yeah,
sense actually.
you have to accept it based on its theme because it's a roguelike, and it sucks. But I mean, it was so the zeitgeist was everywhere. Like it was pretty hard if you're a gamer to not hear about Mugenics. She's seen a little bit about it. I've shown her my cat hoarder hellscape. My house was ridiculous. I had like 2 rooms dedicated to my retired cats, which are the ones that went on an adventure. Their job is to breed new cats. And then I had the free for all Lord of the Flies rooms with all of the kittens and cats that hadn't gone on adventures. And I let it get out of control. I had something like 100 plus cats in this house, and I was struggling to feed it. I'm like, "Wait, why am I keeping around so many of these shitty cats?" Like, I've got cats that are super aggressive that just constantly cause fights and get cats killed. I'm like, "Why do I have these fuckers? I don't want them breeding. I don't want them in my house. I don't want them killing my cool cats." So then I did, like, this extensive purge of cats, throwing them into a sewer, which that triggers me. Which is probably why I hadn't done it up to, but at a certain point, I just had to shut my brain off and go, "This is a roguelike where you build potential recruits. They're cats, yes, but don't think just do anything in your power. Don't think of them as cats. Think of them as units that you are expending for a purpose to build more units that are better as time goes on." Again, I don't know if she'd get there, but I showed her my cat hoarder hellscape, and she didn't instantly run away or get triggered. So again, the cartoony graphics and the weirdness of the setting might be enough to make it not the same. Whereas Stray, I mean, that's a very cat-like cat, realistic looking. I mean, even if it's not an actual, you know what I mean? Like it's close enough to realism where she doesn't want to see anything that would affect a
No,
real cat.
yeah, as I mentioned before, I think it makes a lot of sense
Yeah,
because the cat was very much, acted, moved, everything like a real cat.
yeah,
It's much closer to real cats, which makes sense, right? So I get that. I get that.
yeah.
It's honestly a shame that she can never play that game because it's really a good game, especially if she could get past that part. But I guess she's never going to play it now, right? So
Well, maybe. I don't rule it out. Maybe we can convince her to stream it or something, and
I mean, it's
as a
just
group, maybe she can get
interesting.
past it or whatever. I mean, it's not a long game either, is it? It's
It's
like
not.
5 hours or something?
Let
10
me look
hours?
at my. Let's see. Stray is. I played it for 8.7 hours, so it's
Okay. So
really not
5 to
long.
10 hours wasn't a bad estimate guess.
Yeah, that
There
sounds
was
about right.
another cat game that she did play that wasn't Stray, but you were a cat that went out and explored the town.
I don't think I know of that one.
I don't think it was Stray. I think it was something else. She might have
Yeah,
played it on
Stray is
Game
a little
Pass.
different. Yeah, I don't know.
But
I
like,
don't know
yeah,
that
like
one.
you, there was like a bird you could talk to that helped you out and some other stuff. I don't know. I bet if you Google it, you could find it, and a dedicated gamer who played it would be like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about." I don't remember, but I remember watching her
Probably,
play.
I don't play a lot of cat games really, so
That one she
Stray
enjoyed.
was good. I definitely recommend Stray for just people that like puzzles and platforms and platforming and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And they did do a good job on the cats and making the cats feel very much like cats. I really like the art style, the city, robot people. It's kind of sweet and nice. Especially the ending is kind of nice. So yeah, I recommend that one. I mean, that's an old game by now. Let's see.
yeah.
Last played it in 23. So
Yeah,
3 years old. Didn't he believe that 2023 is 3 years ago now?
I do. I hear you. Uh, maybe I can get her to go play. I think it's just that's a more photorealistic is not the right word to talk about that. It's just a more realistic setting.
It's a more
Um,
realistic
the one
style.
we're talking about was more cartoony looking, and she had a lot of fun of like stealing people's cell phones. There was a purpose to do that for some quest. Or you could steal people's like, you could bully them into dropping whatever was in their hand, and then you could run off with it if you were fast enough. So you could be a real asshole, a cat. I
I
love
mean, you can
cats.
do that in Stray
Yeah.
too, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
cool. You can trip people by walking by their,
Mhm.
feet, which is funny.
Yeah.
You can jump up on tables and, like, walk through somebody playing chess with somebody else, and then they, like, throw their hands up like, "Ah, goddamn cat."
That
I can't
you're
get
giving me, Untitled Goose Game vibes too.
off.
Ho
It's pretty fun.
honestly, Untitled Goose Game may be a better comparison for this cat game than, Stray. Again, I don't know the story, but I mean,
I
this
never
the
played that
setting.
one. I played Goat Simulator, but I
You
don't
should
think I
try
beat.
Untitled Goose Game. It's not once again, it's not a long thing. You're just a giant asshole of a goose, and you get little checklists, like, you can do things where you just go and make people miserable. Like, you can go get the kid to break his glasses so he can't see. Just be a real asshole. You could steal stuff from people's yards, and, of course, some of the people in this little small town that you habitually harass, um, they're on the lookout. Some of them are better defended in their area than others, and you can be sneaky. Like, I think in one point of the game, there's like a cafe or something, and like you can hide in an open wine box and close the lid, and then you can get one of the workers to unwittingly carry you into like the basement or something, or through a place that you couldn't get through because they're too vigilant, right? And then
Mhm.
haha, you pop out of the thing, and then you go wreak havoc in a slightly different area. Not a big spoiler for the game, but I mean that's a spoiler for like how you get past a single thing in that game. But that was it can't I mean, that game has to be like $4 by this point. I think you'd enjoy it just
Hmm.
from that type because it's a puzzly type game, right? You're trying to figure out how I mean, besides trying to figure out how to make everyone in this, like, small I don't think it's set in Britain by any means, but I just picture in my head a small rural British village, and there's just this pond that has this goose who's just known, and every season it comes into town and makes their lives miserable, and that's the game. Like I said,
Oh, that's interesting.
it's like a 5-hour long game, and you play the goose who goes around making everyone miserable, and, I'm not spoiling what the end objective of the game is, but right, but, like, that's, like, the play of the game. I think you'd
Interesting.
enjoy it.
Yeah, sounds kind of fun if it's real cheap, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's probably about time for me to hop off and
Yeah, it is. This is
do
around
some
the
prep
time.
stuff for later, as I do have to work a little bit later. But
No, I appreciate it, man. It's been a long time since we did one of these, and we got through like 1.5 topics, which is hilarious. The way I had it phrased on there was esoteric ebb, obviously, which we mostly talked about. And I said thoughts on Slay the Spire, and then I had it like slash mugenics and transition into indie dominance. I just love giving people
well,
a
you
poke in
are
the
quite a
and we're
gabber,
not
so
doing
it
that.
makes sense.
Well, we both are. I do know that I spent more of the time talking, and I apologize. I would
Well,
love
you
to give
that's
you the floor for a
generally
for a
what you
topic
like
as
to do.
well.
So,
But thank you for going on this journey with me. And
well, I imagine also what's kind of where you've been at, right? You
yeah,
probably have a lot of stuff built. It's like a pressure valve release system. So
this has always been a good cathartic output for me.
I understand that. Yeah, like
And
I said, especially with everything that's been going on in your life, and yeah. So hopefully you feel a lot better about all that stuff. Being intentionally cryptic here, I don't even know if you're going to keep this in it or not. But um, anyway, it's nice to talk to you about stuff. Hear some stuff about that. I mean, there's a lot of other games I could talk about, but we can do that some other time. Like the stuff that I've been playing here, which. There's a bunch of different ones, but yeah.
yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I will see how this comes out in editing. Hopefully I didn't screw anything up. And if I
We'll
didn't,
see. I've
you
been
know,
trying to mute when I'm going to be making some noises or whatever. The thing about two audio streams is if you talk over people, you especially definitely like to jump in there
I do.
when I'm
I
about to
know.
say something. It's better because then you can cut out o- overlapping conversations, which is not going to be great. Generally for podcast stuff. So at some point in the future, I'm happy to record an audio track myself. But you don't have to
Hey,
do that. I'm just saying it's a possibility, right?
so far it's worked out, and as long as I didn't mess this up, which
Okay.
I may have, and if I did, I'm
Well, then
very
who cares?
sad. We will not
Yeah.
do this again. Or I mean, we won't do this episode. We'll just do a different episode. But if I did screw it
Yeah,
up,
that'd
I
be
screwed
good.
it up. If I
And
didn't,
that's
hey, this
fine.
will
I
come
mean,
through.
it's not a big deal because you'll get it going anyway, one way or another. And it happens. So it's not a problem.
Yeah. Well,
There's always
anyways,
plenty of stuff to talk about.
agreed.
Anyways. So
Well, fingers crossed it came through and I did it right and I didn't screw it up with no
hopefully.
oversight from anyone else. Well, fingers crossed. And I guess at that point, anyone who went through this, thank you for listening and till next time.
Yeah, have a good one. It's good talking to you. Take it easy.
Yep, you too. Bye.
See ya.